Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of iZombie, a great episode. A lot of interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, obviously, Liv is dealing with the aftermath. And last week's episode was just like everything's just kind of come crashing down. She literally just lost her dad, and she wants to kind of just stand still and just kind of give up, but she knows she can't. Like, too much is resting on all of this. She goes to Robbie, and Robbie doesn't have the cures because the dude running everything that he was working for beforehand, that dude works with the CDC and all that, it's like that dude is keeping the cure. At least he doesn't need the utopium exactly. He just needs the formula at the very least to the utopium to be able to replicate the cure. But for them, rather than making a cure, they rather make a treatment, kind of like, obviously making parallels to real life, where it's like that's kind of a conspiracy that a lot of pharmacy companies would rather try and treat something rather than actually giving a cure because you don't make as much money. And once again, so it was just kind of, it's kind of like sucky, and you see it hits Robbie because it's like they had a victory last episode. It's like, yeah, we saved the Freylet kids, and it's like now this. It's like it's almost all for nothing because it's like we have no more moves to play, but Liv stands her ground and was like, no, after everything, if we don't do this, everything's going up like in flames. Like, we have to do this. We can't just give up. And so I love they worked with Charlie to basically orchestrate a plan to kind of like break into the CDC, in particular the Zone 19 where it's being held. And I love certain things. It's like, okay, like Robbie comes up with a plan of like, oh, okay, we get Charlie to kind of distract him or whatever, and it's like Liv is like, no, we put a camera in the mop bucket, and she's like, okay, sometimes we have good ideas. Robbie's like, mine, and she's like, sometimes there's bad ideas. He's like, yours, and she's like, and then we come together to get a great idea, which they did. They use a spy pin on him, and I love it that basically they catch him. It's like, oh, he's hugging her. Now he's not hugging her, and then it's like, oh my god, the thrusting motion is. They're like, oh my god, he realized what they're watching. Wait, isn't he a married man? So they blackmail him, and they inform everybody, tell Clive, Major, and Peyton what they're up to. And I love the whole situation of them trying to like, it's like, okay, I love how Robbie broke everything down, and Major's like, is that you just really coming up with a plan, or are you just saying that just so you can be like, what was it, George Clooney's speech in, Tom Cruise's speech. No, it wasn't. He didn't even specify who it was from. I'm messing up. I'm sorry. But it's speech from Mission Impossible, and Robbie puts his leg up. He's like, both. So Peyton's supposed to be there to kind of poke holes to make sure they're not doing anything stupid. So he's like, guys, you're doing something really stupid now, because it's like basically to pull this off, they need a full blown Ocean's 11 team, and it's like, and then you have Liv being like, actually, we don't. All we need is brains to kind of cover up for what we don't make up amongst the team, whether it be like the hacker, the thief, and all that. So I thought that was pretty neat. Many different interesting things, like them being at Donnie Be Good, and obviously Donnie's still kind of being sour about the whole Darcy thing, about her being gone, because you see him kind of being all mopey and stuff, and they're like, okay, so which brain should we get, like the ninja or the Circus of layperson? And it's like, oh, we'll get both. And Blaine shows up being like, oh, Liv, oh, you must be testing that on someone, but and watch out if I were you, things never work out for you and your boyfriends. And Liv's just like looking at him, it's like, shut up, considering the fact is he's responsible for, at the very least, I mean, obviously, like, her boyfriends have all kind of died horribly, but obviously it's like, let's not forget Lowell, the first one was on Blaine's hands specifically, and he's like, oh, and speaking of kind of acrobatics or whatever, how's Peyton? And Robbie looks like he's about to get pissed, but he's like, madly in love with me, and Blaine's like, oh, look at you trying to deflect. He's like, no, that was me, in all honesty, being super cocky, because the fact of the matter is, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with her. You were most likely going to spend the rest of your life with Donnie, and kind of, it's like, boom. I love that Robbie kind of got like, and you could tell it ticked off Blaine. I even love Donnie being like, it's like, man, him and his hair, it makes me so mad. I love that. But nevertheless, so there's that. Then there's the heartfelt Clive scene, which I thought was so beautiful. It's like, he's like, if I could do more to help, they're like, nah. She's like, yeah, but because he's almost, because you can tell with his cadence that he is a little worried that they might not make it back. But she's like, when they get back with the cure and everything, you're not going to have a zombie partner anymore. So what are you going to do without me? And he gets a little choked up. He's like, I don't know. And it's like, Liv's like, oh, like, it's like, oh, it's so sweet. And she hugs him. And then, like, he hugs Robbie too, because Robbie goes in for a handshake, but he's like, nah, I'm bringing it. It's like, oh. And it's like, was that him kind of not thinking he'll see us again? So that's kind of like, you'll probably die goodbye hug. It's like, I think he even shed a bit of a tear. It's like, dude, that's so awesome. I love he even made reference to like, oh yeah, you'll see me with a mustache if you get this particular criminal's brain. Which I guess that's kind of almost a callback to earlier in the series. I forgot when that was. That might have been season 2, 3-ish or something like that, where we did get a flashback of someone's memories and it was Clive with a mustache. So maybe it's kind of like a little nod towards that part of his past and whatnot. But nevertheless, it's like a lot of nice moments between characters like Major and Liv. It's like, look at us. Look at us digging up a grave together, not even having to talk to each other. It's like, look how far we come from being exes to being where we are right now. And then the whole conversation of like, she's like, yeah, I mean, who knows? I'm kind of halfway expecting you hit me over the head with a shovel and take him away for my own sake. And he's like, okay, I kidnapped you one time and you're not going to let it go. And he's like, you turned me zombie, to save my life. And she's like, yeah, and every time you always complain about it. And they're kind of laughing about it. It is kind of crazy. Once again, just like the look at where their story has gone, where it's taken them over the course of this series, and they're kind of laughing about it. But Major's like, I don't have to worry about it. I'm not worried because I know you'll do it because you have to. It's for the sake of the world. You're going to do this. Because it's like, look at who you are. Like, all that you've accomplished basically over the course of this series. You're a renegade. You're a badass. You got this, Liv. And they kiss him. I'm like, oh, that's sweet. Then there's the whole Peyton situation, because obviously, Liv is like, if I don't make it back, and she's like, I'm gonna curl up in a ball and obviously be sad. I'm not, I'm not about to lose my bestie. But also, like, I love the whole situation where it's like, she's like, also like, take care of Robbie for me, because I'm most likely gonna marry him. And then they turn around and Robbie's there, kind of like, what? And she's like, all right, well, now you definitely have to come back now. I'm like, yeah, I love that. There's the whole thing of with Dale convincing Clive to go with them. I thought was kind of neat, because obviously he's worried. He's like, no, maybe I didn't give him a good brain. It's like, no, they need a George Clooney in this situation. And you have Dale being like, you're the George Clooney of this. But he's like, what if she's like, you worried about me? Is there any part of you that doesn't think I can't take care of myself? He's like, no. She's like, go do this. And it's like, for him, it's like, I'm gonna join you guys. You might need a cop's help, plus one last kind of grand adventure with my partner. And Robbie corrects him, partners. So it's so beautiful, dude. I love that. There's a lot of other things to kind of break down at the same time. Obviously, the dead enders fully stocked and loaded, killing a whole bunch of zombies, puts Major in this position of like, okay, he has to do everything he can to stop this war from happening, especially because he knows Liv and Robbie and Clive are off to go get this cure. So it's like, I gotta give them time, gotta stop the city from imploding. They go, sadly, they get attacked by dead enders, but they get saved. And I'm like, is it Enzo in them? Totally is. And he's willing to give everyone else sanctuary except for Major, because he knows where Major stands. He's like, knows that Major's not going to change his mind. Like, Major's in that middle ground of like protecting both zombies and humans. But obviously it's gotten to that point. Some of the zombies that were on this side are like, no, we're not on your side anymore in the grand scheme of things. A lot of allegiance switches, because it's kind of like, we can't be like that, especially because we're potentially on the verge of extinction. It's like, we can't play by those rules of being in the middle anymore. We have to choose a side, and Major isn't choosing one. So they try to kill Major, but luckily he was able to get away. It's like, dude, it makes you wonder if Martin was still in control, if he wasn't dead, like, would things have gotten to this point? It's just because Enzo, once again, I shouldn't be too surprised. Like, Enzo, like I said, has always been on the forefront of kind of going down his own path. He's never always been siding with the way things kind of go with Fillmore Graves. He kind of has gone his own way. Which is always interesting, considering the fact is he follows Chase Graves so wholeheartedly. It's kind of like his mentality, so it's just kind of interesting. He kind of steered away from that last season, but now he's kind of steering more back in, because he's always going for the one that's looking out for the best interest of zombies. So it makes sense in the grand scheme of things. So there's that. There's the whole situation of Blaine finding out that Robbie was the one with the kids, rescuing them. And so he goes with Donnie to follow Peyton around to try and find him, because it's like, okay, you find Robbie, and when you see him, you get back the kids and you kill Robbie. I still think no matter what the circumstances are, that's still going to be something we see. Like, he's going to gun for Robbie, because it's like, which that's definitely going to be interesting. Very, very interesting. Like I said, I'll kind of get to that soon enough. But yeah, so there's that. And then there's the whole situation of like him making his way in there, and it's like, you know, Peyton's trying to, like, you know, reach out to any good part of him, and there's nothing good inside of him, and he ends up killing that dude, the coyote dude. And it's like, Peyton's like, oh my god. And it's like, he's like, yeah, you were kind of hoping that there was some good part of me left, huh? He's like, yeah, me too, but that was gonna prove it. It's like, yeah, this entire final season is kind of just showing you, like, yeah, it's pretty irredeemable. I mean, Blaine's always had, but he's always had that cusp of, like, yeah, he's always been a shitty dude, but he comes through when the time came. Like, I mean, season 3 showed that he had the potential. Well, season 2/season 3 showed what kind of person he could be if given a chance, but he just kind of went back, nah, I'm full-blown evil, you know, so kind of fully embracing it. I love that you have this tense moment, and Donnie comes in, he's like, whoa, you weren't kidding about that closet. Wait, what? Man, there's a whole bunch of kids. I don't think they're all going to fit in a van, you know, so it's like, I love that just little kind of juxtaposition. I'm sure I'm using that wrong, but just like the tonal shift, like to kind of break the tension there. I just thought that was kind of a nice touch. But obviously, the plan to get to the formula for Utopium, I love that basically Liv kind of got thief brain, and she's constantly bumping into people stealing stuff. And I love it. She puts him on Clive, and Clive was like, wait, Liv, we're in the South. You don't put stolen stuff in a black man's pockets in the South. And she's like, I didn't put them in your pocket. And he just stands there, he's like, I made a grave mistake. And then there's the whole thing of him getting close to Gladys. I love it. It's like naming all her cats. It's like, oh, you named them after this. It's like, whoa, you realize that? He's like, yeah, let me guess. I got this kind of superpower where I'm able to kind of guess what your cats look like. And she's like, wow, you're so good. And she's like, oh my God, talking about his butt and everything, and talking about she could curl up in his lap. It's like, yo! And she's like really like clawing at him, and then they kind of busted up on the dance floor, and she's like grabbing on his butt and everything, getting super into it. And Clive gets into his bag, man. He starts breaking down, and he just starts getting so much into it. Liv's like, okay, Magic Mike, aren't you supposed to be guarding your target? And I love Liv's way to kind of stop everything, being like, because like Gladys is leaving because she's like, you're a tease. I'm gonna go hook up with wasn't it like her landlord or something? Like, she's gonna have a booty call with her landlord or something like that. And I love Liv to get close to her. It's like, were you flirting with my man? I saw you all over my man. I'm gonna be thinking about that tonight. And Gladys is like, oh, well, you're welcome. I just loved it. That's how that whole situation got resolved. I also love that Ravi on Hacker Brain, his whole like, she's like, you one more time. I love it. I love that their brains for this job ended up clashing. I also love that Robbie ended up running into someone he dated in the past. She's like, we went on one date, you never called me back. I was like, that's so interesting. I thought she was about to blow you up in the sense of like, oh yeah, like put you on blast, and I thought that was going to be a bigger issue than it was. Turned out to be the case. He's like, you're right, I was immature at the time. He's like, you're beautiful, you're a very attractive woman, and then like confidence is very attractive, know your worth. And she's like, thank you, you know, and I wish you the best of luck or whatever. And so it's just, that was just kind of interesting, and Robbie's just kind of like, okay, and gets to work. So I also love when they end up eating the ninja brains, and they're like a team. It's like, you got this, bro. No, we got this, bro. Yeah, let's do it. And when they actually do, like, actually the whole plan does work out flawlessly. I love that they circle back to, it's like, right, Clive's going to have to go past the guard who's racist, the racist guard who thinks all black people look alike. Clive swipes the card, the dude looks and is like, yeah, you're the same dude. Go ahead. It's like, Jesus, I love that, because Charlie had made mention of that, and I didn't realize they were going to utilize. I mean, it makes sense in the grand scheme that you would utilize that. It just didn't cross my mind to be like, oh, and that's how we're going to refer to him, as the racist guard who can't tell black people apart. That's so interesting. But nevertheless, the plan actually went off without a hitch, and then you have like Liv and Ravi kind of be like, yeah, kind of getting all bro-ish about it. their success. They're thanking Charlie and everything. It's like, oh man, you so crucial to this plan. Thanks to you, everything kind of worked out. And then they're kind of getting all, like, in particular, Robbie's getting all emotional. He's kind of tearing up at everything. And then, you know, Clyde being like, you're going to eat another brain, right? And he's like, yeah. So he does. And it's so interesting how that all circles back around. I was like, oh, so they actually broke in there. But it's like, lo and behold, it was a trap. Because it's like, well, we couldn't get in there, but we knew you'd come running to check it out and open it up for us. So, but he's trying to tell, he's like, okay, I'm sorry, I kept it myself. But he's like, come on, we can make a shit ton of money off of this. And that just pisses Robbie off because it's like and it's so interesting. We see him rage up. First time that's ever happened. Like, he's been a zombie since last season. Well, technically the end of season 3, but obviously, like, fully became one. Well, not fully, but it was so interesting to see that side of him that we've never seen. Like, he's gotten pissed before, but I guess, like, never in a state where he's in his zombie form and then, like, gets pissed. But that was so interesting. It's like, he could have ended up killing the dude, but it's understandable because of all that happened, all that can happen because you want to make an extra buck off of people suffering and whatnot. So, but luckily, Liv was able to talk him down. It's like, okay, we got the formula for Utopian. We can make a cure. Yo, all we need is Max Rager, and you have Major being like, no, I can get it for you guys. Not telling them, like, obviously he's wounded. Fillmore Graves is completely under Enzo's control. That makes me wonder, those who might have sided with Major, are they kind of reluctantly joining? Or do they go, no, you're in charge now? Or were they secretly already on Enzo's side, but Major kind of kept them on his side, but now that he's out of the picture, it's like, no. We're looking after. So I'm curious to see how much that is, because, like, he's going to have to sneak into Fillmore Grace to get them Max Rager, and it's going to be a complicated thing, especially because he didn't want to tell them, like, it's like they got their side of things done. It's like, it's up to me to kind of fulfill my side of things. And he's like, I don't, because he probably doesn't want to add more pressure by letting them know exactly what's going down, like what his current situation is. Like, a war is about to erupt, because you have Enzo on TV publicly announcing, like, oh, like, we've got a nuclear option of our own, like our zombie soldiers. And in Dolly, it's like, oh yeah, it's ready for war. Get every warm-bodied person who's willing to fight. It's time to do this. It's like, dude, Seattle is about to be a battlefield. It's also interesting too, because I'm sure there might have been cases before, but I don't really remember situations where Liv was on a brain and that wasn't necessarily for a case. Like, you can make the argument this was technically for a case, but really it wasn't. So it's just kind of interesting. Well, let's not even make the parallels, because it isn't like a case, because they didn't have to rely on visions or nothing like that. I feel like I don't remember any instances other than this one. Like I said, it's been a while since I've seen the earlier seasons, so it could have easily come up before, but I just thought that's kind of an interesting aspect to it. It's like, yeah, this has nothing to do with a case. This is just 100% like advancing the story. I mean, we're literally at the end of the series, so... And I mean, that begs the question, how is this all going to end? If I'm not mistaken, next week's episode is in fact the series finale, and it's going to be crazy. The thing is, who's going to make it out of this alive? You don't know. Like, is this going to be a situation where zombieism is completely cured? Or are there going to be people who are like, nah, I'm going to stay a zombie? And then, I kind of get the feeling once this, because Liv had kind of made that, like I said, she stayed a zombie to be renegade, but she might go back to being human. Her and Robbie might be. Maybe Major doesn't. Major probably decides to potentially stay a zombie. Maybe? I don't know. It depends. I don't see them wiping out zombieism completely. I think it is going to be like, oh, zombieism is the new... species that's kind of on the same level as Homo sapiens, so it's kind of like, hey, readjusting to the new world. Like this is all about everyone being against it, but going forward there'll probably be stragglers and stuff like that. But still, I'm thinking with the way things are set up now, we might, and because we got a glimpse of Robbie raging out, I think he's going to be the one that puts Blaine down next episode, especially because he finds out Peyton's in trouble. It's like, no, like, you're not going to hurt the woman I love. We might see Robbie kick his ass, may get close to killing him, but get stopped. Once again, there's the whole element I brought up before. Donnie doesn't know that, like I said, we don't know. Maybe it just worked out for his benefit that Darcy's dead, but I get the feeling, I have this inkling that he is the one who killed Darcy. Like, it didn't even, like last episode, it didn't even register to me that even really possibly think, oh, she died of just her disease. It's like, no, he killed her because he found out Donnie had betrayed him. Now, once again, there's also the other story element I brought up. Alice and Mr. Boss. Dude, those are still some unknown factors. We haven't seen them in a while, so what part they might have to play in all of this. Because, I mean, Mr. Boss is a human, but his niece is a zombie, so he's kind of all for, like, being the middle ground, so he might be an ally in this, because, you know, with his connections and stuff like that, so it's going to be interesting to see. I don't think Enzo or Dolly make it. I could be wrong, but I don't think either one of them make it out of this situation alive, because they are the biggest extremists in their respective fields. So I don't know. And even Major, dude, there's part of me that's like, I'm hoping Major makes it through, but just kind of making everything come full circle with just every, you know, person that has ever loved like that, been in a relationship with, they probably might make it so that Major dies, which would suck, because I'd want him and, you know, Liv to have their happily ever after at the end of this. But once again, that also comes out, if Major does live, will he stay a zombie just because it's like, no, someone's got to keep everything and everyone in line? Liv might kind of stand up and be like, might not necessarily go back to her normal life, but she might be, you know, lead like renegade, but she still kind of maintains that aspect for the humans, and Major be that for the zombie. You know, I'm curious. You know, it depends on what she decides to do at the end of this series. I'm so fascinated to see what the series finale has in store for us. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.